Well, election fraud wasn't a new issue for me going into this election. So I started researching it before the primary began. I had a group of people who were working within the Bernie Sanders campaign that I was trying to get him to please address it in real time, because I was really afraid that if Bernie Sanders didn't stand up, that he was going to be sending a message to basically have a green light to go across the country and continue this. And that is exactly what happened. There was mass voter suppression through the voter roll purging, that election fraud had occurred and that there were voting roll purging. And the weekend before the Arizona primary, the staff of Bernie Sanders' campaign reported that their voter management system had been broken into. There was huge reports of absentee ballot stuffing, exit polls not matching the official results outside of the margin of error, often in double digits. It's not that the evidence wasn't there. It's that the campaign would not address the issue. It's not that the evidence wasn't there. It's that the campaign would not address the issue. I know every person that I was involved with, from the election integrity activists to the attorneys, to the poll volunteers, to Bernie Sanders' own campaign volunteers who tried to get the campaign to address it. They locked us out. They locked us out, and they would not address the fraud. It's not that the evidence wasn't there. It's that the campaign would not address the issue. It became very clear to me that Bernie Sanders was not serious about winning this election back in February of 2016, after the Massachusetts primary election. That was when we saw huge discrepancies in the exit polls. It was like 15%. I was trying to run an effort to get people to withhold donations from Bernie Sanders at that time, so that unless he addressed election fraud, because I could see where it was going. And I stayed with the campaign and I stayed with supporting Bernie Sanders until the end, because I was hoping that he would come out and do the right thing. And I gave him a chance, and I gave him a chance, and I gave him a chance. You have to remember, I was working behind the scenes with this. I was working with campaign staff. I was working with attorneys. I was working with top election integrity activists. And the campaign locked us out. What finally just did it for me was I would have people telling me that they were giving their last $5 of their Social Security checks, the last pennies they had. People would write me and say they weren't eating. And Bernie Sanders was very clearly just doing a message campaign when he completely failed to protect the vote. And I was so appalled at that kind of betrayal, and that the fact that he was actually being a sheep herder to the Democratic primary, and that he would eventually go on to endorse a candidate that fraudulently was installed after his supporters gave $200 million to his campaign. I thought it was one of the most unethical things I've ever seen. And you know what? It hurts more coming from somebody that you vest in, that you give your life full time to help. If anybody abused my supporters or people that I was trying to run a movement and lead, and they treated my supporters that way, I can't imagine staying silent in the face of it. I just can't.